Listen up, Gotham.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Hiya, Buttons. It's me, Harley Quinn.
This is Batman.
This is Robin.
Tune into the Bat Fanatic podcast.
The Bat Fan Addict Podcast.
The Bat Fanatic Podcast.
The Bat Fanatic Podcast with Sammy Warmhands.
With Sammy Warmhands.
The Bat Fan Addict Podcast. Bat Fan Addict Podcast.
Although, Sam, you might think about changing the name.
Hey everybody, it's the Dark Knight of Rap, Sammy Warmhands, and this is the Bat Fanatic Podcast. Now, Gramps couldn't make it today, but Dunk and I are going to talk about some of the recent commissions that we've picked up, particularly at my recent weekend at Rose City Comic-Con. But that and a whole lot more. We got to shout out our longtime sponsor and friend, the Nando Knight from TNK Comics and Collectibles. He's been sponsor for season 3 and 4. You can go to the Nando Knight on Instagram for claim sales and his convention schedule, as well as shortbox.com/TNK Comics. All right, so today, as promised, we're going to dive into sketches. Here we go. That's not bad, right? That was a first taker.
That's good. That's good. All in one shot.
All right. Well, it's just the two of us today. How are you doing?
I can't complain, man. It's nice to have a little break from conventions for a while.
Your little break is what, 2-3 weeks?
Something like that. Yeah, I got a convention like in 2 weeks coming up. I'm like, ugh. The preparation, man. The preparation is tough, especially, well, it was tough during the summer because I think I did, was it 5 and 6 weeks or something like that?
Man.
Yeah, it's pretty taxing.
I've either been playing a show or going to a show or going to a con every week for the last like 6 or 7 weeks. It was from like July into September. And so I'm looking at my calendar today. I'm seeing next weekend. I ain't got shit to do. I'm like, thank God I can just exist for a minute.
That's been me the last couple of weekends. I'm like, oh, man, great. I could catch up on TV shows.
Right. I want to see that new Beetlejuice movie.
Oh, I got to watch that. I don't have to spend money.
Yeah.
That's the big
Seriously.
One. The biggest one is like, oh, man, my bank account's actually loving me right now.
Well, and fucking make up for some of those days off that I took to do all these things. So,
Dude,
you know, time to put the work back in.
Yeah.
So you've been busy, man. I had you send me a couple selections from your recent shows. I want to pull these up here. Tell me about Adam Hughes.
So this one in particular, funny enough, I saw Adam back-to-back weekends. I was at WickedCon in Boston.
Okay.
I looked up and I'm like, oh man, you know what? WickedCon wasn't that busy because it was the weekend before Terrificon. Mm-hmm. And Terrificon's a bigger local con. It was a tough weekend for Wicked. Let's just say that.
Okay.
And Adam didn't have much of a line. I was like, all right, cool. I need a Zatanna from him.
Is this your first Zatanna? Because I know you have a lot of Harley and Ivy, and you have like theme sketches of like a bunch of one character.
It ended up being my second Zatanna, but I don't have my other Zatanna on me at the moment. So
okay.
Yeah, it is my second.
Well, you sent me 2, so maybe it's the other one that we'll talk about. But
the other one's definitely the first one.
Okay.
So I have 10 Zatanna blanks.
Mm-hmm. So
I didn't want to buy another blank. And I was like, screw that. I'll wait to Terrificon. So
right.
I didn't get anything on WickedCon, so I got it at Terrificon.
And that's what, Connecticut?
Yeah, Connecticut.
Okay.
So I got that Zatanna done there. And I was like, you know, it's Adam Hughes, dude. He knocks him out mad quick. And for $100, it's Adam Hughes, dude, you can't go wrong. So
wow. I was going to say, I thought he had a pretty good rate for those side profile sketches, but that's really good.
It's pretty good, man.
Yeah.
And, you know, he knocks him out. And he does a really good job managing his line where it's, we're doing signatures at this time. And I'm doing sketches at this time.
Right.
Do not stand on the line for signatures while I'm doing sketches.
Right.
It's very convenient. So, you know, everyone knows you're going to be waiting a while on the sketch line. So it's pretty sick. And luckily, I caught his line when it was short and knocked that one out.
Good. That's smart, man.
Yeah.
Another one that we just talked about here. So this then would be the first Zatanna of your 10 fucking blanks.
Man, dude. This one here?
This is a friend of yours. We talked about on the MegaCon episode, Nathan Szerdy. Let's take a look. Holy shit, man.
Yeah, I helped him at San Diego Comic-Con with his Whatnot show. Mm-hmm. Again, really good friend. And he was like, oh, you know, what's your PayPal? I'll pay you. And I was like, you know what? Like, can you just do me a sketch?
Yeah.
You know, very simple. And he's like, what do you want? I'm like, I want a Zatanna. And I was not expecting this.
Well, dude, he usually does those more like cartoony versions, and that's his style. And so when you showed me this, I'm like, oh my God.
I didn't think it was him.
Yeah. Dude, he
messaged me it, and I was like, who did that?
It's like, did you have a ghost artist for this one?
Yeah, he's so...
Dude, he leveled up for you.
So he posted it on his page on Facebook, and he's going that route now.
Uh-huh.
I was like, wow, was it me?
Right.
Did I force him to like, yo, bro, level up, homie? And but when I saw that, I was like, wow, like I don't think I want another Zatanna sketch.
Yeah.
At all.
How do you top that?
Yeah, I don't think anyone could do a better one.
Right.
Why constantly be disappointed?
I mean, it's cool because you, with the theme in your collection, you wind up just getting a bunch of different interpretations of the character, which is what makes it interesting.
Yeah. But still, man, that was my first one.
Set the bar pretty high.
Yeah. And then I was like, all right, that's why I'm like, all right, cool. I need to get an Adam Hughes because it's Adam Hughes.
Yeah.
But Szerdy, man, listen, Szerdy, thank you so much. That is probably my favorite sketch in my collection. I don't think I could afford a better sketch anytime soon.
Yeah, man. He really delivered for you. You could tell that he put some extra time and love into that one.
Yeah, and he did another one recently.
Uh-huh.
I think he did it for his Whatnot show. And I was like, yeah, that's still second.
I love that when you're feeling good about the sketch that you get, right? And then you see the same artist put a couple others out there around the same time, and you're like, oh, that's cool. Ooh, but I like mine better. Like, that's always a good feeling. Like, I'm no longer jealous of, the stuff that I'm seeing online.
I showed Adam Hughes' wife that one.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, wow. And I was like, yeah, I know. I showed so many people that one because I was like, I don't want a Zatanna from anyone else at the moment. I was like, that's it. Szerdy, you crushed it, dude.
That's us. See, we don't show people pictures of our kids. We show off our latest sketches.
All day.
I have guys at work who they'd be talking about like, oh, the new Invincible show or the new whatever, they're talking about comic cartoons, that they watch. I'm like, all right, that's cool. So the other day I pulled one of them aside. I was like, hey, do you ever watch the Harley Quinn show? And I showed him my new Shane Glines Harley that I got. And he's like, oh, no, I never heard of it. I'm like, ah, damn it. It's like, you don't realize how cool this is. All right, fine.
Yeah. Like, oh, man, like it's tough. It's funny enough, I had a fire inspection yesterday at my apartment, right? And one of the maintenance guys walks in and he's like, oh, sick. The Batman Who Laughs.
All right.
And I was like, you know?
Yeah.
The Batman Who Laughs? And he's like, yeah, man, I'm a big Batman guy. And I was like, oh, really? Welcome to my place.
Oh, let me hide all my possessions.
Yeah. Also, funny enough, like I have a camera here just in case I don't trust anyone.
Yeah. Smart man.
Like, I was like, oh, crap, there's a Batman fan that knows where I live.
Yeah. Watch out.
Got to record him.
All right, so you got a couple more that you sent me. Because, again, you've been to so many shows, we could not cover them all. But this is an artist that I've wanted to get a piece from for quite a while. And I've also wanted to get something done on a black cover because I think they look so cool. So this is Ariel Diaz.
Dude. This happened by mistake.
Really?
Yeah, this was like a mistake. I just bought this blank, and I was like, I've never seen this black Harley Quinn blank before.
Yeah.
So I pick it up. Jason, the owner of Capture Collectibles, grabs my blank and just gives it to Ariel Diaz. And it's like, hey, can you draw Harley Quinn for me? And I was like, for you?
Oh.
Hell no, dude, it's mine.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. When she finished drawing it, I was like, thank you. And he's like, oh, where's my Harley Quinn? And I was like, that's not your blank, homie. So, yeah.
So you guys fought over that shit.
Yeah.
That's
He's
funny.
like, he saw my blank, and I was like, dude, you know how hard I go finding blanks?
Yeah.
Like, every con I go to, I try to find a blank. I always go for, like, the Batgirl blank.
Uh-huh.
And that was the first time I found the Harley Quinn blank. For all the cons that I go to finally find that blank.
Yeah. I had to order mine on eBay.
Really? So you have one of those?
Yeah. Well, because if you remember on the MegaCon episode, we talked about I brought that blank to Will Jack because I was thinking about, like, whose style would work really well on this, and I thought his, and it didn't work out. So I still have it sitting around. Like, Dennis Baptiste hit me up because he works on black paper, and he's like, hey, man, you doing anything with that? And I was like, well, I got a different idea what I want to do for you. So actually just this weekend, I finally found the black Batman blank that's been going around this summer. Finally got my hands on one of those and was hitting him up like, okay, so this is what I want for you. And I was sending him my reference photos of, like, what I think would be a cool Nicholson.
Nice.
Because everyone's done the same scenes from like Batman 89 over and over again.
Yeah.
So I had gone through frame by frame some of my favorite scenes and like, okay, this would be cool. It's shadowy, so it would work on the black, and it's one I don't think I've seen anyone do, or at least it's not common. So I think we settled on what it's going to be. I just got to get him like a nice 4K shot of it.
Nice.
So
I don't really do a lot of black blanks, although I have so many.
Well, some artists just don't like to do it, you know.
Yeah, you have to be very specific on which artist you want to go and get like a black blank sketch from. Like I'll love to get something from like Clinton Crane.
You're right.
Eventually.
He'd be good for that. Well, we've talked about getting the right character from your artist. And another thing that I always do is when I'm going up to someone and go, hey, I have kind of an idea of like maybe 2-3 things that you do that I would like, but I'll show them, hey, what do you like out of these blanks, you know? And I'll give them 2 or 3 choices. And usually you'll get a pretty quick reaction of like, ooh, I want that colorful one, or I want this real simple one, or whatever. And so I always think I'm going to get a better result if I ask them what they want to do instead of just what I want them to do.
100%. I do the same thing.
Yeah. So another one, I think this is the last one that you sent me, is another friend of the show. This is, speaking of Batgirl, Dustin Nguyen.
Oh, man.
And he gave you the 2 character.
This was a funny story. Dust, you're about to get shitted on right now, homie.
Okay, so which con were you at for this one?
So, no, I gave him this at New York Comic-Con last year.
Oh, my God.
And he didn't have a chance to finish it. So he was like, hey, man, is it cool if I take you home? And you never say no if they're going to take you home. If they're going to take you home, they're going to give you a little extra.
I don't know. I've seen the year-long wait, though, if you do that. So
yeah, but then I saw him, where was it? He was a guest at C2E2 and I was headed there. And I think I messaged him. I was like, hey, man, how's it going with that Batgirl?
Right.
And he was like, oh, what do you mean? And I was like, what? Like, is he fucking with me? And he wasn't able to find it.
Oh.
He couldn't find the blank. We were having this back and forth. And I was like, you know what? He's going to find it. I'm not going to talk to him to C2E2. So at C2E2, I'm by the CGC booth. Someone like nudges me on my side. And I'm like, oh, what's up, man? He's like, hey, man, funny story. And I was like, you fucking asshole. And I was like, oh, I found it. I was packing for here and I had it on my board. And he's like, when do you want me to give it back to you? I'm like, dude, just give it to me at San Diego.
Right.
And he's like, oh, you're going to be at San Diego? I was like, yeah. I'm like, worst case, give it to me in New York. And went to San Diego and I went straight to his booth. And he was like, hey, man, I got something for you. And I was like, all right. I mean, I think I saw it already because he posted it on his story.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it has to be mine. I'm like, no one else has a Batgirl blank. Like, yeah, they're very scarce.
Yeah.
It popped up and I'm like, oh, man, I got 2 characters, dude. And like, oh, I was so sick.
He made it up to you.
He's such an amazing artist, man. A great dude. That's going to be a tough Batgirl. I guess I only have 2 Batgirls at the moment. Do I not have 3? I have his, Stuart Sager, and a Szerdy.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so
you showed that one on the podcast before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, oh, no. And I also have Belén Ortega did a Batgirl, but she left so much open space that I went over to Sean, and Sean added like a Nightwing. And I was like, cool.
Oh, cool. See, I got one like that I'm going to show you where I just paid the remark price from somebody this weekend. And so then today I was like, what other artist, what other character do I want to get to fill this out, you know?
Yeah.
So
sometimes you need that because like you get a remark. And, you know, kudos to the artists that do remarks and they keep like that space.
Yeah, and they offer something that's affordable, you know?
Yeah. And then it's like, all right, cool, I got it. And like, oh, man, now I got an empty space. I got to add someone else on there. And, you know, you go down, like you roll the decks of people that you want to add on there. And it ends up being fun. It becomes like a funner sketch cover.
I've only done that once, and it was the first time I met Sean Murphy. He did a Joker remark, and it was kind of that torso up bust of the Joker with the suspenders and stuff. But again, there was a lot of open space, and so Katana drew Hyena. And then the next year at Emerald City, I went back, and Mateo was going to be there, Scalera. And so he drew a little Harley on there. And I got just enough little room that when I meet Clay McCormick someday, I want him to do like a Red Hood or something on there to kind of finish the piece. But
Clay goes in, dude.
Yeah.
Clay goes in. I got to show you this piece. I don't know if I ever showed you this. Hold on.
Okay. That's awesome.
This one I got really lucky. He was working on it. He was like, hey, man, you want this?
Oh, my God.
I go, yeah. Yeah, I want it. What the hell? It's like, how am I going to say no to that?
That's incredible.
That is funny because I was like, I got it. And I was like, hey, like I turned around. I think Risley was next to me. He was like, hey, dude, you want this? $300.
Yeah. Right in front of him.
Right in front of him. And he's like, what? And I was like, no, I'm keeping it, dude. I'm joking. Like, I have to keep it. It's a great piece. He's such a talented artist, man.
Man, I might have to get an 89 piece from him after seeing that. That's great.
100%.
Wow.
You have to. He's such a great artist.
All right, so just the other day, I went to Metallica twice in a row in Seattle, and then 4 days later, I went up to Portland to Rose City Comic Con, and then the same night, I walked around the corner to the Moda Center and watched Sum 41, The Interrupters. So I've had a fucking crazy couple of weeks.
You've been busy, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, good stuff.
Oh, great stuff. Yeah, I'm just fucking tired. Tired and broke, but oh my God. Such a good time. And you have
a 9 to 5. That's the one thing people have to understand. You know, like
exactly.
We do all these things. A lot of people don't think I have like a regular job.
Right. You got like 4.
Yeah, little do they know I work all the goddamn time.
Yeah.
And cons is just a hobby. And I love to figure out how to make money at cons and like make it a thing where that's all I'm doing.
Yeah.
But no, I have a 9 to 5 and then I do Uber Eats and I work at a warehouse and I sell stuff on eBay and it's busy. You know, when we do all these cons, it's because it's a passion behind it.
Oh, absolutely, man. I just made a post last night on my personal page. You know, I always love live music. I always have since I was a little kid in elementary school. I've been playing shows my whole life. Still love going to shows, but cons over shows all day. Like, because the level of suffering to joy at a show where I got to go mad early to get to the front by the stage and sit through all the setup and the openers that I may or may not care about, and then the set changes and the other openers I don't care about, and the set changes, and then they finally start. You know, like I went to Metallica at 3 p.m., doors opened at 4. The band didn't start until 9 p.m. Start. So I'm standing in one spot from 3 p.m. until 11 when they finish. 2 days in a row that weekend. Fuck me. Meanwhile, I can go to the con, walk around, see who's got a line, who doesn't, cruise in and out, fucking do all the shit that I want to do on my schedule, and it's so much fun. And honestly, it's made me more social too, because you're getting to talk to artists, you're talking to other people in line, maybe people you met, you know, on Instagram or something, or at the show, and that kind of shit. Like, it's just been so much more fun. I'm so glad we get to do this.
Yeah, 100%, dude. I'm with you on that, especially like on the lines. Like, you can stand on a line for like an hour or something, but you make friends on that line.
Yeah.
And you might bump into people that you know that you didn't know you knew, and you're like, oh, crap. Like, oh, I know you, I follow you.
Like Michael in Dallas, man. It happens, you know?
It's the funniest thing. At Terrificon, my roommate, Santiago, he was next to Doc. And I get a text message as I'm walking to the Adam Hughes line from Doc Fakeman. And he's like, I'm next to your roommate, man, Santiago, we just met. He's like, you're like the link. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And Santiago, he was in multiple lines. And he's like, yeah, I mentioned you. And the person knows you. And I'm like, I got to stop going to so many damn cons.
That's funny, man, because I actually texted Mike this weekend when I met a mutual friend, Tone Alone, and his wife, Britt, because they were at Rose City. They actually picked up a couple of our new lanyards from us to support the show. Yeah, it was one of those where I'm like, oh, shit, we got the Stash Wars fam all the way out here. They came up from California, the Sacramento area.
Nice.
You never know who you're going to run into, your online friends or friends of friends, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's a tight community.
Yeah. Well, before I get into the art pickups, I just wanted to post a couple of the people that I met. I didn't necessarily grab anything from, but first one we talked about in January at Fan Expo Portland. There was that ice storm. A lot of flights got canceled. And so Doc Shaner was here this time. He wasn't able to attend in January. He wasn't taking any commissions at the time that I saw him, so didn't pick anything up, but it's just nice to say what's up, and big fan of the new champion of Shazam that he drew. So nice. That was cool. Also, a person that you know, Chrissy Zulo, was there.
I love her. She's so great.
She also was not taking commissions at the time, but she said she's going to this fall. And I said, great, well, I'll hit you up because I'm starting now my Star Wars collection, and I really like to get one of her Ewoks on a sketch cover. So
I got a Poison Ivy from her.
Nice.
Yeah, I had that blank Poison Ivy cover from 616 Comics.
Yeah, the green one.
Yeah, and when she saw that, she was like, "Ooh, I'll work on that one." I'm like, "Hell yeah!"
Yes, yeah, and she was really nice to talk to, even though I wasn't buying anything or whatever. You know, it was just like, "Oh, cool. Well, I see you're going to open up the list. We'll stay in touch." Blah blah blah.
Yeah, she's so pleasant.
Another person that actually remembered me is Mirka Indolfo. I've got sketches from her at Emerald City Comic Con, at Dallas Fan Expo. I'm sorry, what was it? It was Galaxy Con Austin last year. That's what it was. So I saw her and David from Comic Sketch Art Europe.
Nice.
Chatted with them for a few minutes.
She's so sweet.
Yeah. Such a great artist. She just posted like a photo dump of all of her sketches this weekend. And man,
she
like
crushes.
Her Catwoman, her Harley, like always so good.
She crushes. I need to get something from her eventually.
Oh, dude, if you haven't, I'd put that high on the list, man.
Yeah, maybe New York.
I'm sure you'll run into her again. Now, a friend of Sean Murphy, who I met in Dallas along with Gramps, I don't know, do you know Corinne Howell?
Corinne. Yeah. Love her.
Dude, Corinne was so cool. We wound up just talking about metal and bands and shows and stuff that we'd seen because I was flipping through her originals. I was like, dude, these are so fucking epic. Like, you need to do cover art for a metal band. You need to go the Capullo route, you know. She's like, I would fucking love to do that. And then we started talking about shows and shit. And
I'm gonna ask her to do a Poison Ivy because she's a fan of the red hair. So
okay.
I think she does I think she could crush a Poison Ivy.
I was thinking about it because I was looking through her book and I asked her, I was like, you know, do you ever do any DC? You know, I followed you after we met in Dallas. And she's like, yeah, not really. She's like, I've done a cover or two and they haven't called me back. I'm like, oh, okay. But I was trying to figure out like what would be really cool in her style. And I was thinking, do you go the beautiful women route or do you go the gnarly monsters route? Because she's like an Ariel Diaz where she kind of does both of those things, you know?
Yeah.
I was thinking like she could do a Killer Croc or a Black Mask or a Scarecrow or something. And at the same time, she could do
Scarecrow,
Talia, Ivy, you know, any of those seductress, you know, bombshell characters. So at some point, I definitely want to pick up something from her.
Yeah, if she goes to New York, I'll bother her for something.
She said she's going to New York. I said, it's good that you're positioned right next to Sean again. She's like, yeah, they separated us for New York. That's going to suck. You'll have to keep an eye out for her.
I'm going to be a pain in her ass.
Good. And then this one, you know, I saw the lineup of who's going to be at Rose City, and one of the people was also on my eBay wish list of like, there was a pre-done sketch that someone was reselling, and I was like, oh, I really want that. It's the one that Gramps fucking... his feelings on the episode, Batgirl of Burnside, hasn't aired yet, but we'll get there. He was not a fan.
At all.
I love the character and the design of that costume. And so the Babstar redesign, but done as an homage to Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns, this is Kreese Lee. So I picked this up in advance, knowing I'd get to meet him. And so I brought it, and he's like, oh, that's an old one. He's like, that's kind of hard to look at, if I'm honest. That's my really old shit. And I said, man, I just love the homage. I thought it was such a cool take on it.
It is pretty cool, man. Whenever when you posted that, I was like, yeah, what a sweet idea.
So, yeah, he was really nice to talk to. I think he was maybe the first artist that I actually saw when I was walking near, checking out Artist Alley.
Nice.
So another artist that I met in Dallas went and talked to Dave Finch at Essential Sequential.
Yeah, I've never met him.
Dude, I had never met him, and I wanted to for so long. And now, as we'll see, I've got 3 pieces from him and have met him twice. So, like, a lot has changed in just the last 3 months. We've mentioned his costs going up. It's harder to get, but he's still doing really affordable remarks. And so I showed him, hey, I've got maybe a Poison Ivy blank. I've got this. I got a Star Wars. He goes, oh, if I'm doing Star Wars, we're doing Boba Fett. I was like, dude, if you want to do Boba Fett, let's go.
So, yeah, that's what he's into. Yeah.
He chose that and was talking about, he's like, not the Disney Plus, you know, dumb version where he'd take off his helmet every 5 minutes. And I was like, okay, you do the Empire Strikes Back Boba Fett, and I won't tell anyone.
Nice.
But he was really cool and wound up having a funny really funny conversation that I don't know if I'll share here, but I told you, both Jason and the other woman that was there with Essential Sequential, and they were all talking about their adolescent family members over time, their, I'll say, coming of age stories.
You get some interesting conversations sometimes with these artists, man, and it's like it's hard to share.
Yeah. I didn't catch her name, but the lady's like, I bet this is not the topic you thought you'd be discussing today. I was like, no, I did not think we'd be talking about jacking off at the art table here. But, you know.
Hold on, were you there at MegaCon with Tony Daniels? And we're talking about laxatives?
Right. Yeah. And the acid reflux and all that shit. Right.
Like, how do you have these conversations?
That was a funny surprise. But I had a couple others with Dave. And so leading up to the con, I saw Mustafa was going to be there. Mustafa Musa, we met many times, but he did that Ra's al Ghul for me over the Ivan Reyes. Remember that?
So sick.
Turned out great. And I said, well, hey, I've got a couple other pencil pieces I'd like to maybe send to you and just pick them up at Rose City. He's like, hell yeah, let's do it. So I mailed him to his house, and he busted out this Wonder Woman that was over the Dave Finch pencils, and I brought it to him. I was like, hey, I don't know how you feel about other inkers working on your stuff. And he's like, oh, this is amazing. He goes, he did so much better than I could have done. I'm like, wow, that's such a nice thing to say.
It's amazing, dude.
Mustafa had something come up. He was not able to attend last minute. The woman who travels with him, works all of his shows, her name is Kay. She brought him for me. So I sent that picture to Mustafa of like, oh, hey, Finch approves, your work on this one. So he was glad to hear that. Here's a better shot of the sketch.
So sick.
This is probably my top 10 favorite pieces I own now. I was lucky to get that Marv from him in Dallas. And then here I got the Boba Fett remark and the newly inked Diana. So again, I went from 0 to 3 on Dave Finch this year.
That's what happens.
Yeah, dude. Can't complain. I don't know how often this happens to you because you get around a lot. You know a lot of people. But can you think of a show you've been at this year where you're just walking the aisles and you find some artist you never heard of before that like really blows you away? Because that happened to me this week.
Yeah, it happens from time to time, man. Like I like looking at prints and stuff to see what the artist's capabilities are. Mm-hmm. You look at the prints, and then it's like, there's a gentleman at Baltimore, it was like 3 years ago, and I don't know what it was about him. And I was like, hey, man, can you draw me an Alfred? Yeah. There's not only Alfred picture, only Alfred sketch that I own. And I was like, I just saw his art, and I was like, yo, he's definitely going to draw a sick Alfred. So he did like a sick like Batman animated series Alfred.
Yeah.
And he only charged me $25.
Okay. That's exactly the kind of story that I'm talking about. Because a friend of mine, Eric Liao, told me to look out for this artist he wanted a Cyclops from. So I'm walking around. I got pretty much everybody that I was trying to see, but I have not seen this guy. And so I'm doing a second lap around everything. And I see this dude with original pages up on his portfolio. And there's an amazing Princess Leia from Return of the Jedi in the slave Leia costume. And I was like, damn, that likeness is good. And so I just stopped, and I'm thumbing through his book, and I'm talking to him. And he's got like every Star Wars character, and the likenesses are really good. And I said, do you ever do sketch covers? Like, are you taking commissions? And he's like, yeah, I could totally do that. And I said, well, I got an extra blank on me. And again, I pitched to him, like, what's your favorite character to draw? And he's like, geez, nobody ever asks me that. And he's like, man, I think I'd really like to draw C-3PO. And I was like, all right, well, what would that cost? And he goes, I don't know, like $30. And I was like, please take my money. Here you go.
Yeah, here. Don't change your mind.
Yeah, like, okay, great, deal. I had brought a certain amount of cash for the people that I had already planned for. And so I was like, can you take a credit card? I'll give you $35. I'll cover your fees, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So for $35, he does a C-3PO for me. I circle back a couple hours later. He's already got it done. And this is what I see. Two characters.
Holy hell, for $35.
He did the one where Chewie is reassembling C-3PO and puts his head on backwards.
Wow.
You furry oaf, I'm backwards. And I'm like, dude, that's so good. $35
Look at the
right
line
there.
work, dude.
I know. To just bust out Chewie as a bonus, like, that's a lot of work It's more work than the main character you were going to draw.
Yeah, like, damn. That's a win. Hard
so
win
good.
here, dude.
So this guy's name is Jerentino. Jerantino. Jerentino. Check him out. Follow him. He's posted like all of the sketches that he's been selling throughout the con this weekend. His stuff is really, really good and really, really affordable.
$30, Jesus Christ.
Someone came up to the table next to me while I was talking to him. They're thumbing through his stuff, and they're like, hey, how much are these? And he was like, embarrassingly low. And she's like, wait, these are originals? He's like, every single one. And she bought one right there on the spot, too. It was like, man, how can you pass this up?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like art has become so expensive for like the familiar artists. So when you find someone who's really not that familiar yet, like you have to buy their stuff.
Yeah. And it's one of those where this guy did such a solid for me that if I see him again, it's on. You know, like we're going to keep going because, oh my God.
Give you $50.
Yeah. Yeah. But like, I want to see more characters from this guy because
that's cool.
Again, when someone goes above and beyond, it's like, great. I'm going to support you every time I see you.
Yeah, of course. It's like, you know, that's the reason we have these cons when you meet these new artists and stuff and they're out there taking a chance.
Yes.
Why not? Why not support them? They deserve it.
And speaking of which, there was one more from Mustafa that he inked for me that I forgot to mention. But there was a local artist at Emerald City a few years ago. Her name is Courtney Westergaard. I don't think she has Instagram anymore, but she was one of those tables that sells a lot of prints. And hers were all lifelike pencil sketches. So there would be bands, you know, there's like James Hetfield from Metallica in the 80s, or there's like Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, or, you know, just all kinds of different figures throughout pop culture, right? Her Margot Robbie was so good. I'm like, oh my God, like, do you have any originals or do you ever do sketch covers? And she's like, I've never done one before. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, I just sell my prints. And I said, well, I've got this blank right here if you want. It's a Suicide Squad blank. And she's like, man, I don't think I want to draw at the show, but I could do it at my hotel tonight. I'm like, okay, great. And so for $80, I think, I got her first and only sketch cover, and it was so good, but the pencils being on the wall in the frame is kind of light and hard to see. And so I haven't had it on display, and when I was sending stuff to Mustafa, I was like, yo, what do you think of this one? And so he inked over the pencils, and again, totally preserved everything she did in the first place, but just gave it that definition, that dimension, that really makes it pop. And so now I'm really excited to finally hang this up again.
Yeah, that's the moment I think you posted, and I was like, yo, that Harley Quinn, dude. I was like, my eye was directly on that. I'm like, that looks amazing.
Yeah. And again, local artist, first ever sketch cover, just cranked it out in the evening at her hotel.
Nice.
And you would never know that if you're not wandering around and checking out everything that Artist Alley has to offer.
You have to go down those aisles, man. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know who's out there.
Such a great surprise. And, you know, mostly my wall is comic-centric. I have a few that are maybe like Keaton likenesses or something like that, you know, but play to people's strengths. Like we talked about, choosing the characters. Like, oh, I see you do this particular actor likeness really well. Let's do that, you know? And so we talked about, oh, what's a good reference photo? What's, you know, how about this? How about that? And she goes, oh, wait, I know. I got it. I know what I'm going to do. I'm like, great. I'm not going to ask questions.
Yeah. Surprise me.
Let her do her thing. So really happy with Courtney and Mustafa on that. We also talked about an artist that was going to be there that's one of the greats working today on Batman, and it was my first time meeting him. And both you and Gramps were like, oh, so you're definitely getting a Batman. I'm like, no, I think I'm going to get a Gordon. And you're like, okay. Finally got to meet Lee Weeks.
Oh, man, he's just a great guy.
I didn't quite chat with him as much as the other artists, but he was very gracious, shook my hand, talked with me for a minute, but he cranked this out really quickly while I was just walking around, and he was like, I had so much fun on this piece. And, you know, it was another one where they're like, oh, thank you for choosing this character that I really like to do. I had gone through like 5 years of his Instagram because he posts so many Batmans, right? And I was trying to look at what other characters that he does because sometimes it's cool to get the thing they're most known for, and other times it's like, yeah, but I want that one they don't get asked for every day.
Yeah, I got a Catwoman from him.
Right. Catwoman is perfect choice from him. So I thought for my first Gordon ever that I would want him to do the honors, and he really killed it.
From a legend. Hell yeah, he's a legend, man. He's such a great guy, and his work is so clean.
And these guys that don't often come to the Northwest, it's like, okay, you guys are my big priority because I've never had a chance to see you in person out here.
Yeah. That's a nice Gordon. I'm like, we'll see when that time comes and I start getting Gordons and
you got to fill your female character quota before you do that.
Got to knock out all the females first. That sounds weird.
At least you're not knocking up. Yeah. You're knocking out.
Knocking out. It's like you ever seen? The only reason it crossed my mind. There's like an episode of like Joe Rogan with Theo Von. And they're talking about drinking Mountain Dew. And Theo's like, yeah, dudes who drink Mountain Dew go home and punch. that's the first thing that crossed my mind after I said
punch
that.
Holes in drywall.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you, though, I think my second Gordon, I haven't got to meet him yet, but Keith Browning. He's got that kind of hard contrast, Chris Samney, Frank Miller, Tim Sale, like real shadowy stuff. And he does a great Gordon as well. So eventually I'd like to get one from him.
Sweet.
Actually, he posted today that he was not feeling well. So shout out to Keith. Hope you're feeling better soon. We're getting pretty close to the end here. I want to talk about our friend that we have shared many a con with, and that is Sean Murphy.
So jealous that he's doing these covers. He started doing these, and I haven't seen him once.
You haven't seen him since?
I haven't seen him since he started doing these extra sketches. I'm like, shit.
Is he going to be at New York?
I'll be working for him.
Okay, good. But yeah, he was doing his same deal as Dallas, except the prices for sketch covers had gone up. And I was talking to Jake, who's running his table with him. And he's like, yeah, we keep seeing people flipping these things. We had to raise them again. And I was like, shit, man, like I brought exact cash for everyone I wanted to see. And so I said, you already did the full figure character for me last time of Azrael. And so I'm set. But I just thought if I saw you, I had an idea for a quick one. And I pulled up the cover for the Batman 89 Danny Elfman score. And it's that famous shot of the eclipse of the Batwing in front of the moon. And I was like, what would you think of just a simple one like that? And he's like, yeah, I think I could bust that out. And so he gave me the discount for the repeat buyer and the simple concept. But yeah, I know he likes doing vehicles. And I thought, well, here's a quick one that'd be easy to bust out. And so, yeah, he was nice enough to do that for me.
I wanted to get a vehicle from him.
Yeah, the guy behind me was like, well, that's perfect because I was going to ask for a Batmobile. And I was like, I'm sure you've done a lot of Batmobiles, but I don't know how many times you've done the Batwing. And so,
dude, he did this Batman, the Batmobile, Batman 89, of course, for Risley. And like Risley like shows me it one day. And I'm like, you piece of shit, dude. Like, he goes to this signing, I think it was Zap Comics in Jersey. Mm-hmm. I had no idea what to ask Murphy for. And he's like, oh, what do you want from Murphy? I was like, you know what? I'll get a Spawn. It's the most random thing. And I got a sick-ass Spawn. I was happy with my Spawn. Then he showed me the Batmobile. And I was like, you fucking ass, dude. Like, damn it. Now I need to get a Batmobile next.
Yeah.
I'll definitely get one in New York.
Really considered it, but I was like, I don't know. Again, I want to ask for the thing that's maybe not what he does all the time either. Yeah. And still leans into his strength because it's like, oh, you like drawing the cave full of all the different vehicles and shit. Like, well, how about this one? So,
yeah.
Busted that out pretty quick. Nice. And speaking of different characters, he was doing in front of me, the guy asked for a Swamp Thing. And it was, he said, one of the only maybe second or third times he's ever drawn Swamp Thing. And I was like, oh, I actually just dropped off a blank with a Swamp Thing artist a couple rows over. His name is Mike Rooth. And we had arranged this in advance. I was going to bring him the blank. And oh my God, did he deliver.
Dude, Jesus Christ.
This is now one of
the background and everything.
Greatest pieces in my collection. I hit him up in advance saying, hey, I really like your work. I want to come out to Rose City. What would you ask for a swampy sketch cover? And he's like, yeah, like maybe 150 black and white and then 200 color. And I was like, oh my God, yes, let's do it. Yeah. And so I come out, and he's like, oh, I just got this House of Secrets blank, the new one with the green color. So I can do it on this, or, I'll look at the one you brought. And it was like the Swamp Thing Rot World one. And he's like, oh, that one's actually rare now. He goes, let me do that. So he did the whole thing, pencils. And then I'm walking around, come back later. Oh, he's finished the inks, and he's starting the ink wash. And he's doing all the shading with the black watercolor. I'm like, oh my God, this looks amazing. And he goes, I'm pretty happy with this. Do you still want me to do the color? And, as I mentioned, I'm going to a show right afterward, but it was like 5 o'clock. I didn't have to be there till 7. I was like, yeah, I mean, why not? We talked about it. He's like, okay, sure. So then on top of the pencil, ink, and ink wash, he then busts out multiple green watercolors, then starts blending with markers, this new kind of Sharpie paint marker that he's adding teals and blues and yellows and all these white highlights. And then he starts adding the color over the background. And just this whole thing, you're seeing this three-dimensional depth grow and grow and grow. And I couldn't believe it. He must have worked on just the color and extras for an hour and a half while I stood there and talked to him. Like me and Tone Alone and Britt and Ian, King of Comics. We were all just kind of hanging out nearby, chatting while he's working away. And Mike is a Canadian, friendliest dude at the convention, man. Like him and Finch, I'd say, are like just the nicest people to talk to. And again, above and beyond.
That's sick, dude. That's a sick cover for 200.
200.
Yeah,
like
I would have gave 4.
Oh yeah,
that's worth it, dude. That's wow. That's what a great grab.
I think that is one of the most elaborate like pieces of work that I have on the wall at this point.
Nice.
Like because a lot of times at cons they're gonna bust out some 5-minute, 15-minute version for you.
Yeah.
But no, he was working on this one and another commission of the thing on and off those two pieces all fucking day. Like, he was just devoted to, man, yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow. So impressed. So that was my single day. That was my Friday at Rose City. I thought I'd go on Friday. Weekdays they start in the afternoons too. It's not even in the morning. And I thought, well, I'll drop off my blanks, see what gets done, and figure I'll probably come back Saturday and do my pickups, And sure enough, I either got to watch them do it on the spot, where they all had them done within 2 or 3 hours. By the time I had finished walking the whole floor, everyone had finished, except Mike, who was adding all that extra color at the end of the day. And so I'm like, oh my God. Am I just going to drive back to Eugene after that
dude, it was
concert tonight?
When I text you Saturday, I was like, hey, man, have a great day today. And you're like, oh, I'm actually driving back home. I'm like, what the F?
Yeah. I was like, I'm about to get on I-5, man.
Yeah. You're like, I knocked everything out already. I'm like, shit. That's awesome.
Dude, I've really been lucky. I mean, and a lot of it I plan for going in and out at these cons, right? Maybe I'll have a very specific short list of what I want to do. But, I put in some extra hours before this was coming up. I tried to save enough to get all the artists I wanted. I knew I had almost enough money. There's going to be 2 artists that I wasn't going to be able to get to, and I didn't know which ones. And luckily, Chrissy Zulo and Doc Shaner both said, oh, sorry, I'm not taking commissions right now. I'm like, great, you're the 2. I don't have to choose to leave anyone out. Answered it for me. And then everybody worked so quickly because Rose City is like heavy hitters of talent, but smaller lines, man.
Yeah. That and Friday. Like, Friday's a really good day.
Yes.
To get a lot done because a lot of people don't take the day off of work. And Saturday always ends up being like a really hectic day. So if you can knock out things on Friday, you're golden, which you did.
Again, I've planned these in and out trips before, but rarely ever had it where it's so fast that I'm just already done and don't even need to go back. So
that's awesome. I could get a lot of my things done the first day. I just like space it out because I'm always like, hey, let me go over here and say what's up to this person or chat with this person. And then Saturday I'll knock some things out, and then Sunday I'll leave like a couple of last minute items.
Yeah,
just not to stress out because I'm also working for the most part when I go to the cons. But
right,
that's great. You crush it, dude.
I find that GalaxyCon, for example, last year there were fewer people in Artist Alley and there were more celebrities, and so I did my drop-offs, but then we're kind of just like walking around waiting, like, well, I don't want to rush them and keep checking back, but there's not as much for us to do. Versus this one is like there's so many fucking artists and there's so many comic vendors where you can dig through the bins that at no point was I just standing around waiting to check back and see if they had got any work done. It was like I'm spending the whole day talking to people and getting shit done. So it was
awesome.
It was just great. Couldn't speak more highly of it, except for the fact that for some reason they denied my request for a press pass. But we're giving it to them anyway because I had a great time. So
that matters.
Yeah. Rose City, check them out. Thank you guys for listening. What's your next show? You got one coming up, you said, in a couple weeks?
I got Granite Con. It's more of like a Turtles con. So
that's Jersey?
Nah, that's New Hampshire. Manchester, New Hampshire. Yeah, dude. Okay. Kevin Eastman will be there. Ben Bishop. My first love, Amy Jo Johnson. Judith, who was...
Judith Hogue.
Yeah, she'll be there. I guess my second love.
Right.
A lot of Turtle people. So I'm excited for that because although like I'm a huge Batman fan, everyone knows, Turtles was right there, man.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you wake up on a Saturday, you put on TNT, and it's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it's like
Turtles in a half shell. Turtle power.
No, it's like, hell yeah, dude. Like that's our come up. So it's weird because like it's the same weekend as Baltimore. And typically I go to Baltimore and I was like, you know what? Let me try something different.
Yeah.
I want to try go to different cons. I want to do like a horror con because like those seem pretty different too.
I've talked about Washington Summer Con before. That's kind of in like central Washington, and they're not as big as like Emerald City, but their guest lists are great. You know, like this year they had Ryan Otley, Frank Cho, people like that. And Mark Brooks, I think, was there. And they're launching a horror con this fall for the first time. And their guest list is great. You know, it's all like celebrity actors and stuff, but it's fucking really interesting people.
Yeah.
So
it's worth a shot.
Why not?
It's worth to check them out. You know, like, you know, you can only go to enough fan expos or read pop things. And it's pretty much, you know, not to knock anyone, but you kind of see the same people over and over again. And
yeah, it's, you know, contract.
Yeah. So like this Turtles con I'm really excited for just because, again, it's legit. Turtles Con, you know, although that's not their name, but it's mostly based around the Turtles. I've been asked to go to that for a while, so I mean, I'm excited for that. Then after that, obviously New York, and then I think at the end of the year with Rhode Island looks like a decent lineup. You could wait to end the year, first week of November.
Nice, man.
For now,
I think this is going to be my last because I think I went to 4 this year, but I went pretty hard on each one, and so I think I'm going to take these last few months before, you know, Fan Expo Portland again, and maybe Mega. I don't know if I'll be able to afford that, but I think I'll take these last few months and kind of, you know, put in some hours, chip away at those credit cards, and make up for some of the
I can't wait
money
to
we spent.
That.
Yeah, because it's been too long since I've done any of that damage control, so I think it's time for that.
And then I'm going to start the year with MegaCon. MegaCon actually falls on Super Bowl weekend next year.
So it's February again?
Yeah, it's February, and it's also like 2 days away from my birthday. So I'm like, I'm going to just do like a whole week thing and go to Disney because I haven't been to Disney World. Right?
Yeah.
World?
Yeah, it's World.
I haven't been to Disney World, so I got to do that.
Got to do Rise of the Resistance, man. It's awesome.
I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm like, you know, you have to like, with these cons, when you do get a chance to travel and do all these different things, you have to take advantage of like where you're at. Right. And I've been going to MegaCon every year and never went to Disney.
Dude, I'm so bad at that. Like I've toured the country over and over and over again, and I've never done any of the like exploring touristy shit. It's always like if I'm spending any extra time that afternoon, it's like show me the record store, show me the comic shop. That's all I want to see.
Yeah. But it's like, man, like all this, you know, when I do C2E2 and I don't do anything, I'm like, man, I still haven't went to the Michael Jordan statue.
Yeah.
Like, what a slacker. So I got to make sure that next year, going forward, I take advantage of these things, man. Because it's like, It's a trip.
Yeah.
It's a trip. And, there's a lot of landmarks and things and food and all this stuff that you're allowed to do. You could try out there. And, it shouldn't just be all for the con. Which, there's a lot more we could do. So I'm looking forward to start doing that stuff going forward.
Well, anybody who is looking for a different convention in the Northwest where I'm from, it was recently announced that for the first time since 2018, my local convention, UConn or Eugene Comic-Con, is coming back. So
nice.
We haven't announced the date yet, but I'm very excited. I already hit them up. I was like, yo, I know we're way early, but hit me with those press passes. Let's do this. Let's make a fucking thing. I can't wait to help plug this, spread the word. Because that's what got me into going to cons in 15, 16, something like that. But
nice.
That's really exciting to me. We're going to have some homegrown shows again.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. We used to have, there's an Albany Comic-Con, but it's kind of weak.
Yeah, ours wasn't a lot of big names either, but I still think it's important to have.
Yeah, I go to the local one. And then we used to have another one, Empire Comic-Con, but they stopped for certain reasons, but hopefully if everything works out, knock on wood, I get to do my own con here out in Albany. We'll wait and see. Yeah,
that'd be great, man. Yeah. There's one out here that started up recently called Collectapalooza or something, but it seems more like
cards,
like a flea market kind of vibe, like almost anything goes type of thing. So I don't know. I may check it out this year. They're doing it at the fairgrounds this time, so a little bit bigger. I think last time it was at a high school gymnasium, and I was like,
you got to start somewhere.
But yeah, it looks like they're moving into more legit spaces this year, so I may check them out. Got to support those local events.
Yeah, you have to. And then you never really know what you find there. So
yeah, might find some Grail books that nobody's looking for in your little part of the world,
or some blanks.
I did pick up a couple blanks. I got one of those Zatanas that you just showed. So finally going to be catching up to you in that regard.
Dude, that blank, when I was told it was coming out, I've been talking to so many vendors to release. Guys, you should do a blank Zatanna cover.
Yeah.
And no one listened to me. The moment that one came out, I went to my LCS and I was like, hey, guys, can I get 10? And they were like, wait, what? And I go, yeah, 10. And it was like, they held 10 for me. And I was like, awesome.
Badass.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
Yeah, man, I was really excited for that. If I hadn't gone to Seattle the week before, I had some extra money saved for the trip that I had to spend just for travel expenses and stuff. But I was thinking about Zatanna from Mirka and Dolfo. So, maybe next time I see her, we'll make that happen.
Nice.
It's one of those where it's like, okay, I already have 2 sketches from this person. I have 3 from that one. It's like, all right, I got to prioritize the people that I haven't got one yet,
Yeah, but there's some artists are just, that they're going to crush it every single time. Like Laura Braga, anytime she's around.
And she's coming to New York.
I already hit her up. She's doing a Zatanna for me.
Okay, I want to ask you about that off air because I'm looking at my wall. I'm adding a few new things to it that I just picked up. I got them framed now. And I was looking at that Poison Ivy piece, and I was like, man, it's one of the only things I got left that was before I started collecting blanks,
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking maybe I can have her and Marini also, maybe have the 2 of them that were my very first commissions.
Nice.
Do those same characters on blanks. And then I can, and then I can maybe sell off the 9x12s or something and have everything fit on the wall,
Dude, let me know. She'll be in New York. I'm pumped.
Yeah, that'll be sweet. I'll hit you up about it.
Of course.
All right. Well, thank you guys for checking out our little chat of various conventions and, of course, Rose City Comic Con. We will be covering more events as we attend, but we got a lot more comics and movies that we have reviewed in recent weeks and months. We've been chipping away at these episodes until we had enough to drop the season. So stay tuned, man. We got a lot up the sleeve. I think... Nope, I don't remember our next one. Wait, I think it's Batman 89, the Sam Hamm and Joe Quinones book, because that was a fun one to talk about. Yeah. So I think that's going to be our next episode, but stay tuned and we will find out.
You guys have it going.
Peace.
Peace.